Now, she's got a nice job title, this. She's the happiness speaker. She travels the land or stays at home in Yorkshire and advises businesses, individuals, and how to achieve happiness and their goals. She's Frederika Roberts. Hello, Frederika.
Hello, Bernie.
Why do you do this, love? What was the catalyst to you starting it?
The catalyst was really reassessing my own life. I've got 2 daughters with severe heart conditions, and we've been through the mill with them. To sum it up very quickly, and it does sound very flippant when I say it like this, but it certainly isn't. But between them, they've had 2 cardiac arrests, 3 open heart surgeries, and far more hospital stays than I can actually keep track of. And people kept asking me, you know, how do you always stay so happy? How do you keep bouncing back? And I thought eventually, rather than answering individually, maybe I should do something about it and actually tell people on a bigger scale, because clearly people want to know how to be happy. So I wrote my book, Recipe for Happiness, and then I started speaking, and now I work primarily actually in schools as part of a program in primary schools that I've co-founded, teaching children to be resilient and mentally and physically well and achieve success. And I don't just mean academic success, but, you know, achieve their goals in life.
You would hope that at that age they're a blank canvas, because that's when one should be at the happiest. As a child, if you're lucky, if you've been lucky to have a happy childhood, it's before mortgages kick in, before responsibilities kick in, before taxes kick in. It should be the greatest time, shouldn't it?
Well, it should be, and it's really, really sad that for a lot of kids it isn't. You know, I work with children on my programme, aged typically between about 8 and 11, so we work with year 4 to year 6. And schools are bringing us in. We'd actually developed the programme initially for secondary schools, thinking about GCSE stress and that kind of thing. But by then, they've already developed habits that aren't helpful. But also, the schools haven't got the time on the curriculum to actually devote to a programme like ours. But it was primary schools that came to us and said, we need this. And actually, the work that we've been doing, one of the last sessions I did in one of the schools, a 10-year-old girl put her hand up and said to me, you know, I get really, really anxious and I have panic attacks, and hopefully this will really help me. And then when we were writing down gratitudes on beach balls and throwing them around the room to music, she said, what's your name? I want to write your name as a gratitude, which nearly made me cry.
Did she say why she was anxious, Frederika?
Sorry?
Did she say why she's anxious, why she's unhappy at the age of 10?
Personally, at that point, no. I do know, speaking to teachers, that a lot of children are reporting anxiety due to testing. They're putting a lot of expectations on themselves, and they're feeling a lot of pressure and expectation coming externally. I think children are a lot more aware, perhaps, than my generation was, you know, of what's being reported in the news. And if they keep hearing all this stuff about the importance of SATs and all of this kind of stuff at an early age, they will feel that pressure. But also, you know, broken families, divorce, all of that kind of thing, you know, it all has an impact on the children, no matter how well you try to manage it as parents. And these children are kind of carrying that burden with them. So if we can help them at a very young age to actually deal with anxiety, to deal with stress in a way that's healthy, and to actually be happier, then they're setting themselves up for life. Because as you said, you know, it is a blank canvas at that age. They are still like sponges. They absorb everything. So if we help them with the right messages and the right habits, hopefully they'll be set up for life.
Because at 10, if that's how you are being programmed, Denise, that's how you will stay.
Yeah, there's always the possibility that you can, with help later on, you can change that. But, you know, as Frederika was saying, they kind of get stuck with it. That's what they've learned. That becomes almost like their default position.
And what you have, Frederika, it seems to me, if you can bounce back from unhappiness and trauma in your life, in your children's lives, it's because you have this inner quality that you've nurtured. You do need to nurture it, don't you?
You definitely need to nurture it, and I've noticed a difference from the things I used to do instinctively, because clearly I was always naturally one of the people that's quite lucky that did always find the good points and bounce back. But actually, since I've started working as a happiness expert and really researching it and seeing that a lot of the things that I'm telling people to do that I just experienced instinctively were actually things that have been researched and that have a lot of scientific backing to them. By then doing these things deliberately, like daily gratitudes, for example, actually doing that deliberately, not just occasionally thinking, oh, I'm really grateful for that great thing that's just happened, but actually looking for the good things in your life and expressing gratitude for those. As one example, that really makes a difference. And I notice that if I don't do it for a while, then things start to get on top of me a lot more. And if I then reintroduce that, I feel better. So it's a really simple thing that you can do, just as one example.
It is a decision, isn't it? It's a conscious decision to embrace life with optimism or with negativity. And you can see it, you can hear it in the language that people use, the topics they discuss, the warmth that they exude to other people, can't you?
Definitely, definitely. And I think there is a difference between being blindly optimistic and perhaps deluded about things and being, I suppose, positively realistic, you know. And that includes accepting that bad things will happen,
yes,
and that you won't always get the outcome you want in life. But if you actually can accept that, you can look at that in a positive way, and you can look at that in terms of what good things could come out of this, for example. If I give you one example, I'm speaking to you now, and I am more grateful than I could ever tell you that I can actually do this, because in September last year I lost my voice, and I'm a speaker for a living, so you can imagine what that did to me. And it took months to get my voice back. It's still an ongoing work in progress. But actually, my speech therapist said to me, you know, I'm amazed at how you've healed, and it's your attitude that's done it, because I've always looked at, well, what are the good things that can come of it? And one of them was that reflux is causing it, is one of the causes. So I've had to completely change how I eat. And that's had a massive impact because I've lost loads of weight. So, you know, I've said it's been a blessing in disguise because losing my voice has made me healthier.
So if you can change your body, how long will it take, Frederika, to change your mind?
You can make very big changes by taking small steps but being consistent with them.
In a week?
Sorry?
In a week?
It could do. I mean, there was the famous experiment conducted by Professor Seligman about the impact of gratitude, and he asked people to write down 3 good things once a day for just 7 days. And actually, they reported increased levels of happiness pretty much across the board, but some of the participants were actually happier for up to 6 months from doing that for just 7 days. So if in 7 days you can notice such an impact, then you're going to want to do more of it, aren't you? And a habit is born that way then.
In a world chart, I think at the beginning of the year, we came 20-something out of 100 nations in the world.
We did.
In terms of happiness. Now, we've been exposed, I think, to the most negative, destructive campaigning in a vote that I can remember in my lifetime. Is that symptomatic of an unhappy nation led by malcontents, do you think?
I think there is something in the British culture, perhaps, that we do like to moan publicly. And there is, you know, there is a healthy amount of moaning. I think getting things off your chest can be quite good for you. But when it becomes a national moaning and it becomes quite aggressive, as it has done with this campaign, then obviously you do get that kind of negativity. And I'll be the first to admit, if you look at my Facebook page, you know, I've been quite firmly in one camp, and I'm getting very, very... And I've been saying to my family that I don't want to feel angry and stressed, you know, because that's not me. But it does get to you because you start focusing in on that one thing that's annoying you. And as you and Denise were discussing earlier, you know, focus is a really important thing. If you choose to focus on good things, then you notice more good things. Your outlook changes, your language changes, the way people are drawn to you changes. If you start focusing on one negative thing that's niggling at you, you'll start noticing more and more negatives, and it kind of festers.
Very good. Frederika's book is Recipe for Happiness. The website is, have I got this right, happiness-speaker.co.uk?
It is, yes.
happiness-speaker.co.uk for Frederika Roberts. Nice to talk to you as ever, Frederika. Thank you.
And you, Bernie. Thank you.